real Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
Right back in the saddle. Game day. Toronto Maple Leafs skated this morning at the Ford Performance Center ahead of their matchup with the Buffalo Sabres. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Derek Brandeo, David Sig.
Nope.
Did I screw it up? What the hell's your last name?
Sis.
Sis, short for Sisyphus, because you're going to be pushing that rock up the hill every day trying to remember.
And they were in Buffalo. I screwed up that too. So.
Nick Kypreos.
You got that part right.
Take two. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. I'm Nick Kypreos. Justin Bourne. Derek Brandeo.
is back.
David Sis Boomba.
Yes.
How's that?
Yes.
Better?
Nicely done.
I hope he sticks around long enough this time to so I can kind of lock that in.
That's right. I like his odds.
And Sammy McKee.
The Leafs skated in Buffalo this morning, by the way. Not at the Ford Performance Center like I put in the lineup like a dumbo.
Where did you get that from?
Let's just move past it.
You know I'm Will Ferrell. I'll just read it if it's there.
I know, and I was thinking about it as soon as you started saying it. I'm like,
whale's vagina.
I was like, that's just not right. That's just not right. I screwed you over. It's my bad. Sorry, bud.
No, it's my fault. You know why? Because I almost never read your stuff. I don't know why today I decided to read it.
It's all right.
Wherever you're watching me screw up the intro, we're glad you're aboard. Sportsnet 590 The Fan, our YouTube channel, Sportsnet Now, iTunes, Spotify, side of a building,
everywhere, Ken.
under a bridge, wherever you are, we're glad you're aboard.
And getting ratioed by our own Sportsnet Twitter account.
We did. I don't know if you saw this, Kip.
No. What?
The Sportsnet account tweeted out a clip from our show yesterday, and in fairness, they clipped a thing we said. And they tweeted the thing we said, which you mentioned, which was worst case scenario is this is Nick Foligno 2 is the tweet. And so we got just killed for negativity.
Murdered.
Where if you listen to the show, I was here with pom-poms.
I thought we had
and even Kip likes it.
I thought we had a very rational, fair conversation.
Listen,
and that's what they tweet.
I don't think it's Nick Foligno 2. I'm saying the scenario is
worst case Ontario. That's what it is.
A ton of prospect or futures for a UFA. They lose in the first round, and it is Nick Foligno 2. That's the worst case scenario.
Sure.
I'm just stating the obvious.
You set the range of parameters.
Yes.
And most people thought we talked about the bottom parameter.
Are we not allowed to mention that could be a worst case scenario? Are we not allowed to?
Oh, we're allowed to.
Okay, then once everybody getting over.
But listen, it gets the people going.
It's provocative.
You can't even think that.
No.
Not if you're
And
true blue and white.
This is Sam's Leaf Nation, by the way.
I don't know, man.
Oh, no,
listen, Sammy's.
I know.
They're on Sam's negativity lately too.
I've been getting killed recently for being Mr. Negative. Oh, Kipper's rubbing off on you.
That's what you're getting?
Oh, people are killing me constantly, Kipper. It's like, I just didn't love the trade. It's like, you idiot. How dare you have an opinion? You're looking for clicks.
Which, by the way, we do not get paid by the click.
No, it's like, no, I said my opinion on an opinion website. That's what happened. Anyways.
We should clarify that, you can disagree with the sports opinion without making it personal. Sammy he's sensitive.
We
not
do not agree.
No, I know you're
The
not.
one
You're not
thing
at all.
that has been established early in this trade, and you can tell me if I'm wrong.
Happy,
right?
let's do it.
That when you give up the draft picks that the Leafs had for a big trade,
yeah,
it should come in with definitive. This is who he is. This is where he's playing. And
no, disagree.
So if they were to have gone out and spent a first, a second, a third, or fourth on a defenseman, you would be still questioning where he would be slotted in. Like we are questioning already a couple of games in where Ryan O'Reilly's best fit is.
No, see, it's how you frame it. To me, it's versatility. to me, you have the option to do different things. You have the option to load up your top six. You have the option to run three centers. You have the option for Achari to play center, the option for him to play the wing. In a four playoff rounds, you expect to see different opponents. You might have to do different things. I think to me, it's options. It's not
but there's no
a lack of clarity.
But some could be more successful than others.
Yes. Some will be more
not
successful
necessarily
than
if you
others.
went out and traded for Chikrin or Gavrikov. You know he's going to be on the left side. He's going to play top four. He'll kill penalties. He'll
that is a much simpler trade to process, and you know
That's
what
all
you're
I'm trying
getting.
to say.
Yeah, it's simpler.
It's a little more complex right now, and already we do find, and this isn't us leading the narrative here.
No,
there are some people that don't like Tavares and O'Reilly on the same line.
For sure. I would say most of the, and I air quote, hockey people on this don't.
To be fair, though, I mean, they traded for a center, and he's playing center. It's not like O'Reilly, right? It's not like, you're talking about them not knowing what they're doing with him. He is playing his natural position. It's just that they happen to bump the captain off the team.
The captain, the 33-year-old captain who's never played wing.
Which is a little bit of a story now.
I absolutely think it's a story. I think there's a lot of ways you can take that if you're looking at it from a 10,000 feet view. No,
That's not us trying to get, what do you call it, clickbait?
Yeah. No, it's a real conversation.
We expect the same lineup that we saw in Chicago, which includes Tavares on the wing. Let's go to Sheldon Kiefer, our first Kyper's Clipper.
I think he's adjusted fine. I think I've gone back and I've watched all the shifts for that line in two games, and trying to see if there's something there that maybe there's some difficulty or anything like that. And I don't see that. He's handled plays on the wall really well. So to that end, I think he's done a really good job. First of all, being embracing it and going with it. And the advantages, I think it's less of a workload. You don't have to skate as much up and down the rink and getting all the way back. So to that end, I think there's some advantages for anybody that plays on the wing there that can help them on offense especially, but just to have a little extra gas in the tank.
That clip brought to you by ketamine. Is he okay? A little life in his voice here? Yeesh.
You like it?
No, it's just like, I don't know.
Listen, I'm going to say something very bad for our show.
Let's go.
But I think he's talking too much.
Just in general?
Coach is going to keep his mouth shut.
Not just in general. Yeah, I'd like more of that.
No,
stop that.
Kipper, what are you doing?
Yes.
Kipper, we got to grind to
I'm
the
not-
end here.
I'm not speaking as a broadcaster. I'm speaking as a hockey guy that would prefer him to keep his cards closer on a lot of things, including even Tavares and where he sees him short-term and long-term.
Yeah.
And that leads me to our next clip, and I want to play it, and then I'm going to come out and explain where I'm coming from.
All right.
Like I said here, this is something that we would have tried and would have wanted to try at some point, and I just like the ability to go right to it here now. And as I told John when we first made this move, that is something that it's going to be a one-off or anything like that. We're going to stay with it for a little bit and give it some time to come together. I actually thought that they had a good night the other night. When I look at some of their offensive chances, I mean, they're really close. Look to me like a group that's close to breaking out, and we'll see how it is tonight. But I think those guys I see them talking lots and see great chemistry there that way. So we'll stay with it.
Okay, I appreciate his honesty, especially for our show, because he gives us so much.
Right.
But I don't see, and maybe you or Sammy can explain to me why you have to reveal your cards that Tavares on the left side is not a one-off, that this is where I want to go, and I'm shooting for the top, and this is the way I'm going to see success. And in the event that you don't get it and you've got to kind of come up with plan B, then there's less people like you and Sammy to throw it in his face and say, you made a mistake.
Yeah. Well, there's actually
No, it is weird to, especially as a guy that's such a tinkerer in game, for him to come out and make these like definitive comments on sticking with it for a while. Listen, we just saw Kyle Dubas blatantly lie to everyone about not wanting to do a rental and doing the big double rental, in fact. So I think maybe he's just saying this maybe just to hear the sound of his own voice, getting back to your point about talking too much.
Right when it happened, there's a quote today. Anthony Petrelli is a good writer for Maple Leafs Hot Stove. I like his stuff. He mentioned he had a quote from Keefe, like right when the trade happened. He says, "It gives me a lot of options. I expect between now and the end of the regular season, we will try a number of different things. We will try to get a feel for what our best mix is, and B, potential adjustments and looks we can throw out depending on what the game or opponent calls for."
Which should lead to Sheldon saying, and we're going to try a lot of different things. We're watching and observing, and you don't
Starting
have
with
to
this
say.
look.
You do not have to say it's not a one-off. You don't have to say this is something that I believe in. This is something that I want to go to right now, because everything underneath it is potentially waiting for you as a plan B.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing with the 5 forwards. Just, hey, shift to shift, game to game. That's all we're focused on. And I'm not saying anything else. And that way the expectations aren't there for somebody to turn around and say, yeah, you wasted 2 weeks on this. It was never going to work.
It does go to show how you end up with guys like Daryl Sutter or just some veteran guys who just don't give you anything, because you're kind of right. Like managing expectations is such a huge part of that role.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there is part of that for me where maybe it is better. I did want to weigh in on JT on the wing, just in general.
Please go ahead, because I got a ton that Sheldon revealed to me.
Yeah, okay.
In that quote.
So 2 things, I think. One is that I don't like it. I don't like him as a winger.
Okay.
2 is that I thought that line with O'Reilly and Marner, he said they look close to breaking out. I saw that too. I saw a lot of ticky-tack little stuff in the offensive zone that was like inches away. JT going on the back door, almost put away an O'Reilly pass. There was a post. I could see what you would like about this group. All the good sticks and little passes and smart guys. I can see what you would like there.
Yes.
Don't like Tavares in the wing.
Yeah. Like they play in small areas very well.
That's exactly what I see. Like no one's zipping around, but they're tick, 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 and guys are going,
Which could be great in the playoffs in small areas and tight checking. All you
maybe
need
they
is
go to that when they need one.
All you need is a split second where you kind of in and out of a 1 foot radius, and boom, it's in the net, right? The one thing, again, where I just don't think Sheldon needed to go. And you know what? Can you play the clip one more time for me on Tavares on the wing, please? And see if you can pick it up.
Yep.
I think he's adjusted fine. I think I've gone back and I've watched all the shifts for that line in two games, and trying to see if there's something there that maybe there's some difficulty or anything like that, and I don't see that. He's handled plays on the wall really well. So to that end, I think he's done a really good job. First of all, being embracing it and going with it, and the advantages, I think it's less of a workload. You don't have to skate as much up and down the rink and getting all the way back. So to that end, I think there's some advantages for anybody that plays on the wing there that can help them on offense especially, but just to have a little extra gas in the tank.
It's that last part, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is.
It's the workload. You don't have to skate as much.
If I'm John Tavares, I don't necessarily want my head coach telling me that he doesn't think I can handle a workload, or
it's less of a workload.
I need a position where it's not as much skating.
Yeah.
Because now you're telling me that skating's a bit of an issue here.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I thought that at the end was a bit. We all know that. We know that there's less skating at wing. That's why people have talked about Tavares as a potential winger. I think that's a part of the assumption of why you would want to do it. But yeah, I'm with you. You wouldn't want to hear that about yourself. Like, Justin, we got him in a spot where he doesn't have to do the thing he's not very good at.
Don't you think he's talking it out like it's not a demotion? Like every time he's talking about it, it's like, oh, he's looked great over there. Like, oh, we like what he does over there. Just trying to keep his workload down or whatever. It's like, isn't this guy the $11 million captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs? Like, wouldn't you want him to be able to handle the workload? Isn't that kind of the point?
The other thing is, before any of you on that real stupid Kyper and Bourne show start saying that, he could have his nose out of joint, I'm telling you right now,
he's embracing
it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like he's
Open arms.
trying to get ahead of no distraction here.
But it is a fair question.
100%
And
it
it's
is.
smart to mention it first.
I'm not saying it was a dumb move.
No, yeah.
But you're not flying that one by us on this show.
Do you think it would bother him?
I
don't know how it doesn't.
Don't know how it doesn't. I'm with Sammy here.
Yeah.
Right? You're one of the top paid centermen in the league at $11 million bucks. I think for the most part, he's spent his whole career being that franchise face of the New York Islanders, #1 center, no questions asked. He comes here. Only in Toronto do you find someone that makes more money in your position than $11 million. I think he's settled in quite nicely to be the second guy behind Austin Matthews. But now you've lost that job.
Mm-hmm.
And that's your natural position. And I get that we've seen him on the wing on occasion. Certainly instrumental way back in the Olympics when he never stood as a #1 or 2 guy on a Team Canada, and gladly one of those star players, much like Taves, I think I remember in Vancouver, where you take on different roles.
Mm-hmm.
I think Eric Stahl went through that. There's a few others that they're #1 positions on their respective club, but when you go to a Team Canada for an Olympic gold, you're going to take on a lesser role. You're going to find your checking role. Yeah. That's all fine and dandy, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah, and so the only difference for me would be that, the one thing really missing for him in his career is a Stanley Cup, right? That's the thing. He's done individual accolades, all-star games, Olympic gold, all that sort of stuff. And he wakes up the morning of the trade and he finds out Ryan O'Reilly's there. And the chance to play with, all of a sudden your line is O'Reilly and Marner and not Kerfoot and Marner. And I think you go, whatever. Let's get this thing. Let's get this cup, okay? Like, I can see him being more excited about what it could do for his chances of winning a cup.
Now, let me ask you something.
I think that's a fair counter. That, it's not like he's getting moved over for Noel Acciari here.
Right.
He's getting moved. Oh, go ahead.
Do you think Kyle or Sheldon would have had a discussion with John Tavares? Because I was kind of led to believe that the thought of him going to wing, Sheldon gave us the impression that the thought of JT playing the wing was there even well before they traded for Ryan O'Reilly.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get that impression?
In that particular clip, I don't know that I got that impression, but I could see how you could take that.
He's mentioned it before in the past, though.
Yeah.
Mostly in response to questions from people like our own Luke Fox, right?
Of course. But no, he has mentioned, it's not the first time that it's been brought up. And I often remember, too, that one time we maybe had mentioned it, too, with a certain guy that played for the
only thing I'm trying to get to is that the moment the trade is made, would that have been something that Tavares was preparing for? Would he have known that the moment they traded for Ryan O'Reilly, I'm heading over to the left side? Or would that have been still a real sit down with your captain, and then the process would have started like this? John, we just traded for Ryan O'Reilly. I want him in the second hole, and we're going to bump you on the left side, and I hope you're okay with it. Would that have been more of a realistic scenario?
I could see a scenario where they say, okay, we know we're going to call in Tavares. They're talking about the lines because I don't know how early they would know they got O'Reilly, but not much before they announced the trade, presumably. And I think you sit down and go, what does it look like when we have him? You call in Tavares and you say, here's one thing we think might help you. We give you the chance to play with this guy. And what do you think? And let him kind of have his say. Do you think if Tavares was smashing picture frames in the office, they wouldn't have said, all right, okay, you can have a line. You can be the guy. Like, I'm sure there was some,
That's interesting.
some sort of cooperation on it.
Doesn't appear to be that type of guy.
Frame smasher?
Yeah.
No.
I think that they know who John Tavares is in terms of, like, I don't think there's a lot of guys in the league that they would even bridge this with.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think they were worried about this conversation with John Tavares. The guy is there a more professional, consummate professional kind of guy in the league that deep down, maybe when he goes home, he has a conversation with his loved one saying that it pisses him off a little bit.
Stalking to his, yeah.
But he would never, ever let it show to the media, to his teammates, to his coach, to anything. He just really feels like, whatever is best for the team, I will do. Don't you guys agree? Like, I don't think there's a lot of guys you could bridge that with. It's a credit to him.
I do agree, but I understand competitive elite guys and wanting their, look at making sure that they're doing what they want to be doing. But I think he's at that point in his career. But again, speculation, Your Honor.
I think there's a fine line too, because there is the pride factor here for John Tavares, that he's still a top centerman, and he is the captain of this team. And Ryan O'Reilly comes in as a captain-like leadership. Does it look in a week or two like this is more O'Reilly's team than it is John Tavares' team?
No.
Based on your thought of, hey, I'll do whatever it takes for the team.
I don't think so. You mean, one thing he did mention, Sheldon, that they, the line itself looked like they had chemistry, looked like they were talking, looked like they were working through this. Like, I don't think you resent someone and you sit there and really do your best to make it work with them. Like, I don't know.
But there is something to be said that this guy knows the secret sauce to winning, and this guy's still learning.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of why you trade for Nick Foligno and you trade for Ryan O'Reilly. And who did they trade for the year before? It was another captain.
No, but there's only
Giordano.
But there's one guy that won a Stanley Cup here, right?
Yeah, I guess. I see what you mean, but like, I just feel they got a good player. They want to win. I don't think that anyone's going to take their individual stuff and pout about it. And
I'll be interested though, like, because he said they're gonna, it's not a one-off, but I think they'll probably be off Wednesday after tonight's game, and then they'll probably practice again Thursday. Travel day. That makes sense, right? Even though it's from Buffalo, it's a 2-hour drive. But I bet we see a different lineup on Friday against the Wild. Like, I'm not convinced that he's going to stick with this after tonight.
I think result dependent still. Like, what if they go out and pour 3 in tonight as a line? Like they're
you're probably right. But like, if they have another similar night that they had in the last.
Yeah, but you don't understand though, Sammy. If you are correct, it doesn't make Sheldon look good to tell everybody on a Tuesday that it's not a one-off, and then you're changing it by Friday.
No, you're right. It's going back to your point of talking too much, maybe.
It's a part of the plan. I feel like this is the creating options, finding out what your optimal lineup is, finding out what you have behind that. This is actually yesterday. I made a brilliant point, let me just say, about
we'll decide that.
About putting Ryan O'Reilly in a position around leaders on the team where, you're a part of the big moments and the systems and communication, and you're in with the core guys on the team. Sheldon talked about putting him and Achari in that mix. Let's listen to that clip.
We're going
to have two of our leaders alongside O'Reilly in particular, and then even with Kerfoot, with Achari, Kerf in particular has been here a long time. Another guy that talks a lot, smart player. We keep them alongside each other in the penalty kill as well. So I think with the no practice time, and even without that, just a quick turnaround coming from one team to the next and playing right in games, I think it's important to have, to utilize that, utilize your leaders, utilize your guys that are the best communicators, and in O'Reilly's case, some of our best players. So I think all of that helps. And then, as we talked about even before we made the trade, I've been wanting to see Yarncroc, Engvall, and Kampf as a line. So that in itself has given me more time to see that play out. And I thought those guys were exceptional in Montreal. Maybe not as good in Chicago, but still, I think there were some things to like about it there too. And then the Achari group has has, it's the best our fourth line has looked in, all season.
He almost said since I've been here, but he caught himself short.
He loves Achari.
Loves.
Yeah, I'm with him.
I should dig up that clip from I had from yesterday that we never played of him talking about Achari. And I don't know if he's talked as glowingly about someone. I'll try to find it.
Just
Okay.
one more thought on loading up, because that's what it is.
Yes,
It's
it is.
loading up your first two. And, in that quote we just heard from, there's also the fact that he loves Camp, Engvall, and Yarncroc. That's his third line. Again, the danger is that the chemistry isn't great with Tavares and O'Reilly, and that forces you to change two lines, not one, because that'll affect the third line, which would also mean that my vision, didn't come to fruition.
Yeah. I think.
Do we want to hear the clip of him talking about Achari from yesterday?
One sec on
okay.
that. The way I see these lines playing out, I don't love. The reason I said at the top of the show that I don't love Tavares in that spot is because, to me, the huge advantage you gain by having O'Reilly is a third line centered by Ryan O'Reilly. And if it's with Engvall and Yarncroc or Kerfoot or whoever, they're going to get a couple for you over the course of a series, like a few.
Yes.
And they just haven't gotten that in any series. Columbus, Montreal, Tampa, Boston, they've never had depth scoring in the playoffs. And I love the idea of them being able to have a third line who gets one when the other two lines are going toe-to-toe. Was it Hitch who's talked about the top two lines sawing off?
Yeah.
You're going to saw off with Kerfoot, Engvall, and Kampf too, or whatever the third line is. Yeah. You're going to saw off with that line. Whatever any other great team's third line is going to look something like that. O'Reilly lets you have an advantage there. Yeah. Whereas if you have Marner and Tavares together, Willie and Austin together, you've got something on every line for me.
And
agree.
Love
it.
The brilliant comment you made wasn't the one that you just mentioned.
Really? Okay.
You know which one it was?
Which one?
I don't know when you said it 2 shows ago, maybe, that the tendency for Sheldon is to go big right away. And the best example over the last few years is throwing Joe Thornton with the big boys right away.
Yeah.
And just trying to drive that thing right through.
Yeah.
And it just square peg, round hole.
Yeah.
It never happened. No one ever really saw that. And now you're backpedaling.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of feels the same way for me, that I hope you're right.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. That you find Tavares, O'Reilly, and Marner as a very tough line to play against. Tampa Bay hopefully finds that out. You're set on your third, and it's a non-issue.
Yeah.
And there's still a possibility that may happen. But if it doesn't, now you're in a little bit of a backstroke.
How would you feel? Go ahead, Sammy.
He also did it with Michael Bunting, too, last year, if you remember.
Yeah, Nick Ritchie, too, though, right?
Started them in the big spot right away, and then had to demote them, and then had to put them back up. Obviously, Ritchie ended up in Phoenix, but I think it is a bit of a thing that he tends to do. Maybe he just gets a little bit excited like the rest of us.
Well,
Wants to see the shiny new toy in a big
let's see
spot.
what this thing can do, sort of thing. Just go open it up on the highway before you drive it around the neighborhood. A little bit.
All right. Just to touch base on the rest of the show, Gary Galley will be joining us in about 15, 20 minutes. And in the second hour, Kevin Adams, general manager of the Buffalo Sabres. Not too long ago, a lot of people, and I'd be one included, that, questioned Kevin Adams, inexperience, coming in, where is this team going, had a huge anchor around his neck with Jack Eichel.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the first one to say that this guy's done a hell of a job up until now.
Yeah.
There's some really good pieces in there. Hedging contracts has been another strength that we saw through Tage Thompson and Cousins most recently.
Yeah.
He's going to be joining us in the second hour, and we'll get a real in-depth look at the Buffalo Sabres, which will be great.
Just looking at their draft, I mean, they're cap friendly and their draft picks and everything. Like, they don't have, other than Jeff Skinner, who is on pace for 30 goals again this year, so it's a bit of an overpay. Outside of that, it's in really good shape. Like,
well, how
they
much
are
longer is
poised.
Skinner for?
A while. Quite a while. 26, 27 at $9 million.
Really?
Yeah. But he's got 30 goals. He's
No,
like he still scores. He's still a decent hockey player. He's not a $9 million hockey player, obviously, but like he's not a complete.
What's he have left?
He's got
Till 2027.
till 2027 at $9 million.
There's still room there for that maybe not to play out. They wouldn't be in a position to move him now because they're so close, and I think you owe it to the fans to push. But that might be one of those contracts in the last few years. You eat 25% of it, and someone's willing to take some scoring help at a couple of years left at 7.
Yeah.
6.5.
Yeah, cap goes up, his hit goes down with some retention. All of a sudden, it's like, we'll take Jeff Skinner at 6.
No, they're in good shape, Sabres.
All right.
Anyways.
Which leads us to Sheldon hoping that his team rebounds off of that loss against Chicago, against a team that we assume is going to be very hungry against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Let's have a listen.
Incredible skill, speed, both on forward and defense. So an exciting team to watch that way, but a dangerous team to play against. I thought when we played them back in November, I thought we did an exceptional job of defending, and that's going to be required tonight. You know, the top 5 team in the NHL in goal scoring, even strength, power plays dangerous. Lots of guys that can score different lines. I mean, they get 2 first overall picks on the back end and a number of top picks on forward, and I don't know how many first-round picks there are total on the team, but there's a ton of talent on the team that has taken a big step, and as you say, is right there in the thick of the playoff push. And in fact, in win percentage, I think they're in as of today. But yeah, it's a team we're certainly gonna have to be prepared for in all facets.
I'm expecting a really good game tonight.
Oh, it's gonna be fun. By the way, find someone that loves you the way that Sheldon Keefe loves every team they play against.
That's why I love playing the clips that he has about the other team, because he says good things about them all the time.
Yeah,
They're the best.
Arizona coming in, great off the rush.
Oh yeah,
just
dude,
dangerous.
they're actually, you guys don't know this. They're actually number 1 in left-hand shooters from the slot on the weekend, scoring on backup goalies. I don't think anyone knows that.
On an afternoon game.
Yeah.
This is clearly, though,
That's
a team
special.
that this is always David and Goliath, and we saw what they did to them last year.
Yeah. Oh, I think the Leafs are 2-3 in their last 5 against Buffalo, 1-3 last year.
They beat them pretty good early
This year they beat them
5-2
soundly.
or 6-2, wasn't it?
Yeah.
They beat them pretty good.
But yeah, so the one thing about the Sabres team, they remind me of the 2018 Toronto Maple Leafs, rough thereabouts, I think, where they had all the skill and people were excited, and here come the Leafs, and they score at will. I think the Sabres are 3rd in the NHL in goals, and they just can't defend a lick.
Yeah.
They don't even try to defend. They're like, 30th in goals against, 3rd in goals for, top team in power play, 31st in penalty killing. Like, everything goes one way. It's a track meet against the Sabres.
What's the over-under tonight?
11. I have no idea what it really is. 7 maybe?
So I don't want to necessarily shoot my shot here, but Austin Matthews does not like Dahlin. Hates Dahlin.
Okay.
I'm not going to say that Austin Matthews is going to get in a fight tonight. But
You want some animosity.
I am predicting some serious animosity between Austin Matthews and Rasmus Dahlin.
I would welcome that.
God, that'd
big time.
That'd be lovely.
And Dylan Cousins, he got after in that outdoor game. He got after Matthews pretty good. I get the feeling that you watching this team play that they're not really afraid of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Like, I think they really kind of would, take this as a big opportunity to show what they're about. And like, this is a big week for
Young
them.
and foolish.
Yeah, like I just really excited for tonight. It's not I'm not.
God, I got to tell you, after the last 5 games, Montreal, Chicago, I don't know who else they played, Rockport. This is good. I'm looking forward to a Sabres matchup here.
Albany River Rats.
Yeah.
But
Go
No Dahlin tonight. by the
There
way.
is that
Or, sorry, Sandine.
yeah,
the continuous storyline of Leafs underachieving against the worst teams in the league. A loss tonight would just pour gasoline on that, would it not?
I'm going to be honest. I'm invested in tonight's outcome. Like, I'll be very disappointed if we're covering a Leafs loss tomorrow.
I don't think the Leafs are looking at this as. I don't think this is the let up spot.
No.
I think they're going to be fine. I think they're going to have a good reaction to the loss against Chicago.
Yeah,
I do too.
And the Sabres are a good enough team that they know they have to take it seriously.
Yeah, it's actually the perfect spot for Leaf success. Coming off a little bit of a wrist whack, or is that what we're saying now? I don't know.
Yeah, you can't say the other one.
All right. Coming off one of those, and then you play a fairly good team. You've got O'Reilly. Like, there should be some excitement here.
And they know that this team is an up-and-comer and probably thinks they're pretty good.
This is the Cub coming at the Lion King here. We have a whole bunch of quotes.
With the game in Buffalo, the Sabres would want to score a goal early to take the crowd out of it.
Mm-hmm. Fair. Should be about 50-50 tonight.
50-50.
I bet you it's more than that.
Oh, I think
you guys think so? I mean, I never really paid
loaded
attention.
blue and white.
Yeah.
Like, I went in, when was that, October, late October? I went to Buffalo, and it was half empty.
Tickets
On
like
a Sat-
$75
on a-
or
On a
something.
Saturday night, it was half empty. So, like, I think there'll be, Leafs Nation will be well represented at the KeyBank Center.
Oh, good chance to see Ryan O'Reilly and Noel Acciari, the great Noel Acciari.
Yeah. Do you guys want to hear the clip of Keith talking about Acciari?
Sure, let's go to it.
Yeah.
Just a reliable and responsible player on both sides of the puck, offensively, defensively. He just plays a very hard and simple offensive game, but yet plays with confidence and poise with his head up to make a play. Obviously gets rewarded tonight going around the net, but he's been around the net in both games. And then defensively, just in good spots, has an incredible defensive stick, and he's just really heavy and hard on the puck. So when he pushes on you or leans on you, you stop generally. So very, very, very encouraged with what we've seen from him.
Okay, before we comment on that, let's piggyback Noel Acciari on the Leafs having interest, and then we'll lump it all together.
I understand that the Leafs maybe had some interest in you as a free agent too. Were you aware of that? Is that true?
Yeah, we were talking.
You were talking before, yeah.
Yeah, there was always a possibility that it'd be a Maple Leaf, and here I am now.
So shout out our boy Luke Fox, intrepid reporter. That was not on camera. So he had to send me that audio. So I really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
Okay. So why wasn't he a Leaf? He's at 1.25.
That's what it is to me, is when you're a guy making close to $1 million and someone says they'll give you 1.25 instead of 1.15, you take the $100,000 and go somewhere else.
That's fine if you're Acciari.
Yeah.
Give me an explanation on the Leafs not
ponying up.
ponying up. No. Let's go another level here. Who's the guy that said, no Acciari, but let's go 2 million times 4 for Yarncroc? I would take Noel Acciari all day long over Yarncroc.
Wow.
All day long.
Wow. Bold. I mean, Yarncroc's got like 5 15-goal seasons or something in the league.
I don't care. That guy does not play hard like Noel Acciari's already showed me. That guy, Acciari's more playoff built than Yarncroc will ever be.
I got news for you. I agree.
Yeah, listen.
2 million.
I'm more on the. I don't mind Yarncroc.
100,000 over 1-1 to 1-2. Like, why? Why?
How about the quotes from Keith? He's like, and he's handsome and intelligent.
God.
You should see him solve a Rubik's Cube.
Yeah, he's like,
But he's not worth 1.5, 1.7 to sign him.
Actually, that is a really good point. If you guys value this and knew you were looking for this and couldn't find it,
I need to trade a second-round pick to get him at the deadline.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, you're right. I can't disagree with you at all on this. And I mean, who else did they sign this offseason? I guess they signed Yarncroc. Who are the minimum guys that they brought in?
Talented guy.
Aston
I
Reese.
just don't.
Aston Reese took 800.
Young
Were they
Crocs.
that tight against the cap? Maybe they were.
Youngcroc's a serviceable NHL player.
Oh,
I
I
like
get that.
Yarncroc, I think, more than you.
Obey Kubel.
I don't.
Oh.
I'm not saying that Yarncroc's completely useless here.
No.
I'm just saying.
You're saying at 2.25.
If you're talking about battling Tampa and Boston, Acciari all day long over Yarncroc. That's all.
It's funny, we talked the other day about like where imagining a third line depth guy getting you a big goal. No one suggested the guy they just signed for 4 years to be in that spot.
I could see it being Acciari getting a big goal. I already love him. I'm like Keith. I watched 2 games. I'm like,
Yes.
oh, he's
Who have
big
we
and
done?
he's
Are
strong.
we doing the Holmberg thing here again though, or is he?
Oh my
No,
God.
I know.
Come on.
I don't even want to know what I'm doing here.
Top 5 hitter too, right?
Yeah.
In the league.
Yeah, he runs into everyone. He's got some weight to him too. When you run into him, you generally stop.
We
says
didn't for the second day in a row. We didn't get to all the clips in their first 40 minutes.
No, but we're gonna let you listen to Ryan O'Reilly at the end of the show.
All right, good. Can't get enough of that.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, we're going to take a quick break. And we're going to bring back Gary Galley, former NHLer, Hockey Night in Canada broadcaster, one of the best out there. I love listening to him, and we've got him after the break. You're watching and listening to Real Kyper and Sammy too. And Bourne.
This is Real Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne. Going to track down Gary Galley. Beautiful. One of our favorites. And I'm not.
We still owe him an apology for last time he was on.
What happened last time?
We asked him about every team in Canada. It's like, give us a synopsis of Ottawa. And he was like, here's what's going on. It was like a pop quiz. Really my fault.
I wonder what he's going to say in terms of the Leaf trade.
Good news.
All right. Like I said before he came on, one of our favorites, and I'm not just saying that like I do with Doug McLean just before he comes on.
That's a lie.
Let's welcome in Gary Galley. How are you, Gary?
I'm doing great. I appreciate that, Nick. Thank you.
Yeah, I know.
Of all the people you know, I'm one of them.
Listen, right off the bat, I want to get your thoughts on a trade for two forwards by the Toronto Maple Leafs, and the price that they paid wasn't a cheap one. Are you expecting more? Is this enough to get them over the hump against Tampa Bay? Let's get your thoughts.
You hit the nail on the head. They're playing Tampa Bay. I mean, I think it would be something crazy would have to happen for those two teams not to meet in the first round. So realistically, your opponent. You've played them in the past. They have the same players, the star players, and they have the same goaltender, same systems that they play. So you really know everything about them, but you didn't beat them. So what could you add to your team to help win that series, to tip it in the scales in your favor? And I think the one player you'd want to add is a real veteran player, a guy who's won before, and a guy that can play a good, solid 200-foot game. So when you put him out against a guy like Braden Point, and you put him out against a guy like Kucherov, he's played in those situations before. He knows how to do it. And Ryan O'Reilly is that guy. I mean, he's a guy that's, won a Conn Smythe Trophy. He's the, prototypical guy you'd want in the playoff battle with you. So I think adding him is a really good thing. I mean, that's the kind of the, when you're trying to make your team better, the Toronto Maple Leafs have a lot of star players. They have a lot of swagger. They have guys who could score. They have a lot of skill sets, but you need that little bit of extra savvy and moxie, and adding these two guys, I think, to their lineup, are giving them a bit of that. And I think that's what maybe they're missing. And that's what maybe the Tampa Bay Lightning learned along their way, that, they could have all these sexy sports cars, but you need these other, roadsters that come in that can play in the sandbox and get it done. And that's what the Tampa Bay Lightning figured out, and that's what the Toronto Maple Leafs have to figure out, and that's what they're trying to do. So do I think they're done? I think they're going to try to add a defenseman. I think they should. How they get that done, I don't know. And is there a defenseman available that fits into what they're looking for? And that for the price they can pay and what they can afford to put out there, that's going to be the tail of the tape. But I do like the deal. I do think it'll take a little time to see it kind of, all gel together. But I do think it's a step forward for a team that has to win. If they don't win, you're looking at significant changes in the organization, and everybody knows that. So this is all in. So I think a smart deal to make.
So a really tough thing with NHL trades is, you get the piece, and now figuring out how to best optimize your lineup, how to get the most out of the players you have. Sheldon Keefe has decided to play Tavares on the wing with O'Reilly and Marner. What are your thoughts on how to get the most out of this forward group now that O'Reilly and Achari have been added?
I think he's going to move the pieces around a little bit here. I don't think he probably knows the best location for him yet, and maybe it is the best location for him. Toronto is a good face-off team. Tavares is a good face-off guy. So is Riley. So O'Reilly. So I think you're good in that area. So that's the one great thing about having those guys together on the same line. I think they play at the same tempo too, which is something that I like. When players that play with certain guys that play at a tempo that you got to learn the tempo they play at, and you got to try to play within that tempo. If you're too ahead of the tempo, it doesn't work. If you're too behind it, it doesn't work. And the good players like the Jake Gensels and the guys that learn how to play with star players. They just fit in, they find their groove, and they figure it out. And you can put a lot of guys with a lot of lines, Bunting in Toronto. You can put a lot of guys on that line last year and wouldn't have the effect that he had. He figured it out. It takes a special player to do that. And so for Tavares and O'Reilly, they're going to have to figure it out. And they both respect one another, I'm sure, to the utmost. So they're going to work hard for one another, and hopefully the chemistry comes together quickly. And Sheldon Keefe says, "Okay, I've got the look I like. So let's just stay with it." But I get the sense it's going to move around a little bit. I don't think it's going to. I think you should move it around a little bit and see if something else pops out that you like better. Coaches love to have the lineup separated so that there's strength throughout it. You don't just want to have it top heavy. You want to have strength throughout the line, so it forces your opponent to have to operate all their defensive schematics against your whole team, not just one line or two lines or whatever. So this is a feather in the bonnet of the Maple Leafs. They can move O'Reilly around a lot of places, and you're getting a good player in whether he plays center, wing, whether he plays on your first line, second line, third line, doesn't matter. He's going to be a handful for an opponent, and I think that's a good thing.
We're talking to Gary Galley, former NHLer, Hockey Night in Canada broadcaster, and one of the best, might I add. Gary, Sheldon Keefe had mentioned today that John Tavares has embraced moving to the left side. We certainly take that at face value, but throughout your almost 1,200 games in the National Hockey League, on occasion, I mean, have we been on teams where someone's nose may get out of joint a little bit, either moving from a position or less minutes? Is that a challenge for any coach, maybe in this case even Sheldon's?
Well, definitely, because anytime you bring players into your team, these players take up oxygen, right? There's only so much oxygen in the room, and certain players some players take up more than others. And when you bring in some high-end players or guys whose expectations are high, and they're fitting into the lineup and they're taking other people's positions, people shift into different slots, but the slotting probably gets better, and Sheldon Keefe knows that. Now he has to figure out, how does he keep everybody happy? How does he keep everybody motivated? How does he keep everybody happy? And I think the Toronto Maple Leafs, as you just talk to the players individually, they will tell you, we appreciate our general manager going out and having these pieces. Now we have to all, do our thing, which is whatever role I'm given, I need to perform that role to help the team win. And that's the bottom line. It's like, when they assemble a Team Canada and every player is great, and some are certainly above others, but most of the players in that team are used to being the top dogs, the alpha dog on where they come from. And it's always, you got to check your ego at the door. You can't bring your ego into this room. And I think it's a similar thing for the Toronto Maple Leafs. You have a plethora of good players, and now you have to figure out how you're going to disperse this talent and how you're going to get everybody to feel important, because it's a compression thing. If the last guy at the bottom of the rung feels important as the top guy, you have compression. And if you have compression, you've got a good hockey team that's on the right path. If the bottom guy or bottom two guys don't feel like they're important, they get lost in the shuffle, then the compression, it opens up. There's more gaps in it, and you don't. So the trick of the tail for Sheldon Keefe is to give everybody the role, be distinctive in what the role is, and the player's job is to just do that role to the best of his ability.
So, Gary, when you go to the store and you've got a grocery list and a set amount of money, you can't always get everything you want to get. The Leafs don't have a lot of money left to purchase a defenseman here. How much of a problem is that? Can you be good enough up front where you don't have to worry about defending as much?
I think you can. I don't know if you can go the whole way like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can get to the promised land just outgunning teams. And I think, the Oilers are living proof that they got lots of bullets. They can fire away, but they don't got the body armor going the other way. And you just don't survive it. I think anyone can tell you that there are teams in the past that were very, very good offensively, that were just so hard to contain that, you were on your heels most of the time, so you really couldn't attack anyway. So they just were so good. But if you look at those teams and you dissect those teams at the end of the day, they were good defensively too. We're looking at the bigger picture that they were so good offensively, but when they had to shut it down, when they had to play defense and their goaltending, it has to be top-notch goaltending. We saw what Connor Hellebuck did last night in that game against the Rangers. I mean, 50-something shots, allows just one goal, and the Winnipeg Jets go into New York, Madison Square Gardens, and knock off the hottest team in the National Hockey League. If you have a goalie like a Jake Ottinger, the way he played last year, if you have a goalie that can play that way, maybe you can get away with it a little bit. But if you're just an offensively skilled team and you're not as talented on your back end, but I would say that more often than not, it's hard to get to the end like that.
Let's set aside what the Leafs have left in draft picks or a cap situation scenario. What is ideally the defenseman that could help them the most? Chychrun, Gavrikov out of Columbus. Where do you see the need to shore up?
Well, everybody wants a defenseman that can provide production, right? Can push the pace of the game, can join the rush, be dominant, help to create offense. But I think, you look at for many years, and I go back to a guy like Dustin Byfuglien that drove the bus, and then everyone else in the blue line just had to stay back and play defense because we already got one guy, roaming the field, right? We don't need to have more guys. But now, the way the game's played now, everyone's encouraged to go. Everyone's encouraged to be part of the offense, be part of the attack. So, every defenseman now in the game, based on skill sets, they're gonna jump in when the time is right to jump in. So I don't know if you strictly need a guy that's just that can help you run the offense. They've got a good enough offensive team. They need a guy that can one pass breakout, good teammate, will be able to fit in quickly. I look at a guy like Ekholm in Nashville. I look at a guy that's just maybe he's not going to put up incredible numbers, but he's going to defend. He's going to be tough to play against. He's got he plays a bit of angry, and he's going to go out there and be a tough opponent and tough on his opponent. So. There's guys out there that are going to become available as the playoff picture really starts to deteriorate for teams. So there might be opportunities on players that we don't even really think about right now. But I don't think they need to hit a home run with somebody, but I do think they need a guy that can consistently play, 17 minutes a night, 18 minutes a night, and play and be hard to play against. That would be the wish list on the back blue liner that I think that could help them.
So they've got, 20 some games left here, not a ton of runway. One of those games is tonight against the Buffalo Sabres. What are your thoughts on tonight's opponent? What to expect? They're in a playoff spot according to points percentage at this point. This is a legitimate up and coming opponent for them, isn't it?
I think that if you haven't watched the scoreboard in the last little while, you look at Calgary goal, Philly, boom, bang, these teams are, they're winning 3.8, 4.5 out of 10 games. That's their winning percentage. So they are winning games out of the 10 games they play. So they are going to beat some teams. It might be you if you're not ready to play or you run into a hot goalie or whatever the circumstances may be, these teams are going to beat teams. So you just got to make sure that you're taking care of what you do best, and that is making sure that you're running your game plan and sticking to the game plan and not trying to go in and win games in the first period. These games take 60 minutes to win and then extra, and that's exactly like a playoff game. Playoff games aren't won right away in the first few minutes of a game. I don't think very often. It can be from time to time, but I'm saying it takes a good, solid effort, a consistent effort through the whole night, and I think that's where teams get into a bit of trouble right now, and that's where I think the Leafs get where they're, and you hear Calgary too. We got to play a full 60 minutes. That 60-minute thing has eluded a few teams that seem to have these speed bumps every now and then going up and down. Is that you've got to play the right way, and the Maple Leafs had it going early in the season where they were playing the right way all the time, and their record showed it. And I think now sometimes they get away from that a little bit, and it bites them. I do think that. Obviously goaltending is a big issue there too. They've got to get their goaltending settled down and get kind of, get in a rhythm there with that. But Buffalo is a formidable opponent. I mean, this is a team that's got a ton of games in hand, and they know they got to win those games. If they want a shot at legitimately making the playoffs, they got to win those games. And to beat a team like Toronto is something that really can push you forward, can give you a lot of energy and build character on this kind of run that they're hoping to have to finish the season and get into the playoffs. So I would think Toronto will have their hands full.
Samsonov coming off a flu, was not 100% in Chicago. We assume that we're going to see him tonight. Has that been decided? Thumbs up from Sammy. Did you just play him like crazy here, Gary? It all depends on how much he's feeling it. How, in a very short period of time now, do you get him ready for Game 1 against Tampa Bay?
I think you got to play him. I think he needs to play. He needs to find a comfort. I'm sure there was a rhythm that they had him playing in where they play so many games, they give him a rest, they play that. Coaches have these plans set in stone. They've got to look down the stretch here at these last games and figure out where they're going to rest him and how they're going to play him to get him, and get him, ready to start Game 1. Because I don't think you can count on Murray. I think this is a guy that over the last little while has had a lot of problems staying healthy, and so I think you got to really start to gear towards Samsonov, and you got to like prepare him for Game 1, like you said, Nick. That's the big thing. It's not just where he plays tonight. You got to get him in a groove so he's ready to go when Game 1 starts and he's feeling it, because I do think he's more than capable. But right now, I'm sure with the illness and not playing as well as I'm sure he would like to be playing at this point, I think that, probably his confidence is a bit shaken, but, that can come back pretty quickly. And the guys in front of him can help with that too. I mean, really come ready to insulate him and play. I mean, it's really important that they really get him back on track, and it takes more than just the goalie to figure it out. The team can help in a lot of ways by helping them see the pucks easier, clearing traffic out in front easier, like making sure that the rebound stuff is cleared. Like a lot of that stuff is insulation through the team system in the Z zone coverages, and not allowing those second and third chances and making sure you're cleaning up your end. And that can help give a goalie a ton of confidence. Hey,
Gary, really always appreciate your time on our show, man. Thanks for doing this.
Hey, my pleasure, guys. Enjoy the game tonight. And it should be every time I look at the standings, I just think what a finish this is going to be for a group of teams. And it's going to come down to the last couple of games on the last couple of nights. And it's going to be the fans are going to get a treat.
Agreed.
Thanks so much, Gary. Appreciate it.
Gary Galley,
right,
Hockey Night in
care,
Canada. Guys. I guess this is a big start for Samsonov.
Yeah, the only thing is, what if he's bad? There's no one else.
Well,
is Joel Wohl going to be the goalie? No.
That's just another.
Joel, is that his brother?
Joel Wohl.
That's just a bad start by Samsonov is what you really need to avoid tonight.
It pushes you closer to going, God, we got to outbid someone for Jonas Korpisalo, don't we?
Well, the only thing is, if they are shopping for defensemen, and let's just assume, again, without beating our heads against the wall, if they have the assets to do it, if you are thinking about a Gavrikov or a Chychrun, then it has to be a package where Korpisalo comes with one guy, or
Vejmelka?
What is it?
It's Vejmelka, but I'm sure it's pronounced Vemelka or something. The J's are probably silent.
He comes too, and you offload Matt Murray on that. That has to part of the equation.
What?
Yeah. He's saying part of the package would be give us the goalie with the guy.
Right? So
now he's talking about a Nyes situation.
Oh my God!
What's that? No, that's easy. It's a no-brainer. That if you're thinking about going to Chychrun, then you got to flip Matt Murray for Vejmelka.
We just got Chychrun and Vejmelka for Nyes and Murray.
You're throwing my mind into a blender here. I love it.
I really believe that has to be part of an equation. If you are shopping for a D, then you've got to find a way to unload Matt Murray.
Does Matt Murray have a full no movement trade clause?
I don't think so.
Let me look that up right now.
I don't know about that.
Cap friendly. Big stretch coming up for the Sabres here. I'll look at it.
Am I wrong on that? Would you
No,
not?
you're right.
explore
Excuse
there?
me being lost in thought. I guess I'm on radio. I should explain my inner monologue.
10-team no trade clause for Mr. Murray.
My inner monologue is, what are the contract statuses of Korpisalo and Vejmelka? Is there any additional years on those? What else would have to go where for something like that to happen? This Nyes thing. You had talked about him.
I don't think Nyes is in play here.
So what about the 2024 first? Everyone's like, don't trade.
Oh, my God.
It's an asset. They have firsts in the next couple of years. I'm just asking.
Gotta have some future.
Can we talk about it?
Yes, we can talk about it.
Their stars are not 31. You still need to insulate these guys with cheap talent at some point.
Fair point.
At some point, you need to have a first-round pick contribute to your roster.
Well, I don't know if that's true. When's the last time they got one?
Trade them all away.
Tonight, we see Riley and Hall, Brody and Timmins, Giordano and Liljegren.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's your 6 to beat Tampa Bay?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's not.
So you're talking about a Luke Shen? What are we talking
Luke Shen,
here?
by the way, fellas, I don't know if you saw this. He's sitting out tonight and believed to be trade-related reasons. Is he coming to Toronto? I have no idea.
I've been saying bring Luke home for 2 years on this show, so I'll continue to say it.
Okay, but hold on, time out. And I really appreciate Luke Shen.
How could you not? What a career.
Love Luke Shen.
He's bottom 6 guy.
I'm with you. Well, bottom, there's only 6D.
Yeah,
so.
well, bottom 3rd.
Yeah, okay.
Pairing.
Gotcha. I'm with you.
Bottom 6.
I got you.
Yeah. Bottom 3rd. Pairing. Okay.
He's a bottom pairing guy, is what you're trying to say.
You mean.
So I think that if they're not looking for a second and a third, it would cost you Liljegren.
No.
I'm just telling you where the marketplace is for him now.
No.
Then what are you giving up for Luke Shen?
Rasmus Sandin? No.
I feel like
Maybe.
Canucks, you'd do that.
Hey, listen, if you can get away with it, maybe. But let's talk about Sandin for a second.
Uh-oh.
Can he stay in the lineup, please?
Yeah, he's getting a little bit of a Band-Aid.
I have said this before, but I truly believe that physical players who are 5'11" take the most abuse. Whatever it is about that height, it's just, we need analytics on
Let's
this.
go to Sheldon for a Kipper's Clipper on Sandin.
Progressing well, just not ready to play here tonight, but I haven't got a report on how things went on the ice here today, but the fact that he wanted to get out there today and was able to move around a bit is a positive sign. So I'm not going to play tonight, but he's not far away. We'll have to see where he is for Thursday's practice.
Kate, I know you just want to throw in Sandin, but he's also a pending UFA.
Well, he's got this year and next, right?
Does he have next year?
Yeah, he did. He got a 2-year contract. Was that not this year?
Yeah, he's got 1 year. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So he's not, you won't lose him.
Right.
Okay. That maybe changes a few things.
Yeah.
And how old is he?
He's 22. Well, he turns 23 in a
No,
week.
I'm not talking Sandin. I'm talking about Luke Shen.
1,000. No, he's 34.
Are you whose contract are you talking about here?
Luke Shen.
Okay,
He doesn't
let's
have
do
a
this
year
all over
He
again.
doesn't have a year next year.
Okay, that's what I was speaking of.
Yes.
There is something to be said that you've taken a first rounder that you've groomed for how many years now? 4 or 5. Mm-hmm. And again, you're just going to
Not yet 23.
not
Coming
yet
up
23, and you're just going to chuck him for Luke Shen,
for
who's
6
at the
weeks of Luke Shen.
end of the run here, pretty much.
Yeah.
There is something to be said about not looking that desperate.
But they are.
I feel like if you weren't desperate, you wouldn't have made the first trade.
Yeah.
Listen.
By the way, I don't want that trade to happen. I'm
I
saying
agree.
I can see.
I agree.
It's the type of guy they want. Sandin feels like the 7th D to me in playoffs.
Yes.
Sandin not staying healthy is an issue.
Well, they challenged him at the start of this year to show us he could stay healthy. That was part of it. How about last year? He was playing the best hockey of his career for a long time. He got hurt, and he never got back in.
Mm-hmm.
He never got a chance to be the guy he was. So
We should go, by the
They
way.
get frustrated by his injuries. Yes, we should.
We got Kevin Adams calling in.
All right, we do have Kevin Adams, general manager of the Buffalo Sabres, up after the break. You're watching and listening to Real Kyper and Bourne. We're back after this.
is Real Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
Toronto Maple Leafs set to do battle against the Buffalo Sabres tonight.
Just waiting on
is
that.
shaping up for a very important game
Just waiting on Kevin.
in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, this is big for the Sabres. Like we mentioned, they're in the playoffs based on points percentage. You got to win your games when you're behind in real points, but boy, it's a cluster, and they are the best goal differential team in the hunt here, which I believe in as a stat.
25 games to go.
Mm-hmm.
Leafs holding on to home ice advantage in the first round with a with a trade like the one that we just witnessed.
Mm-hmm.
Where would you rank not holding on to that spot of importance?
Yeah. I think it's really important for one, just a mindset thing. Like, you're looking for every edge you can get on the Tampa Bay Lightning in a series that went 7 and was a 1-goal thing. Home ice advantage is worth caring about here and worth fighting for.
But they also did beat you in Game 7 at your place.
Yeah, but that mean like, then
No,
playing
but
Tampa next time it'll be better? Like,
I don't think on either. Oh, Kevin's calling it right now.
all right.
Don't have to tell Kevin Adams this is an important one.
Yeah.
How they've been able to really climb up that ladder in the Eastern Conference. I mean, we are talking about a number of teams that were almost dead and buried maybe a month and a half ago. All right, let's welcome in Kevin Adams, general manager of the Buffalo Sabres. Kev, thanks so much for doing this. We know this time of year, especially for a guy in your position, is real busy. How did you manage to give us a few minutes? We assume that your phone's ringing off the hook here.
Well, you know what? Kyper, my first NHL training camp, treated me amazing and is one of the veteran guys. So whatever Kyper needs, I'm here for him.
Oh, man. No, I'm a full Buffalo Sabre fan. Just the fact that you've been able to get your team, Kevin, in a position to even be in the mix here. How rewarding has that been the last few months?
Well, you know what? It's exciting. You know, I'm happy for our players because coming into the season, obviously we knew that we're the youngest team in the league, and that's exciting. But we also believe in our players and know there's a lot of talent in our room. And now we're just learning. We're growing. But they put themselves in a spot where it's exciting coming to the rink, and these are good battles and good tests for us to learn and grow. So it's a lot of fun, and I think our players are embracing it.
Yeah, and I mean, rolling along the way you guys are, it brings up some questions for you that maybe you hadn't anticipated having. Maybe you do, but, do you add now to this group and reward them, maybe give them some playoff games if you can get in there and the value that would have for the young guys? Where do you stand on that as an option for this group, or is it just sort of this is the next step in your guys' progression?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really look at it like kind of, hey, we're buyers, we're sellers, we're this. I just look at it as we're following along in our vision, the plan, and the process that we're in the middle of. We're evolving as a group. I think starting 2 years ago when we had to kind of reset this, we knew that we were going to have to build, around a core, draft well, identify talent, and then, retain the players that wanted to be here for the right reasons. And that's what we're in the process of. So nothing really changes in a sense. If there's a way to upgrade our team and make a move that makes sense, of course, we're going to be involved and in every conversation, but we're also not going to just do something trying to skip steps or fast forward and that doesn't make sense for us, in the big picture long term.
We're talking to Kevin Adams, general manager of the Buffalo Sabres. Part of the tough job that you guys have had, and I'm lumping all of you general managers, is hedging on future contracts in a flat cap era, Kevin. And, sometimes you really need a player to make you look good when you sign them to a long-term deal. And I think Tage Thompson's made you look like a genius, actually.
Well, you know what? It's funny. When you think about long-term deals, there's so much that you're taking into consideration. I mean, clearly you have to start with does your vision align, from where we are as an organization and where they are as a player? Do you want the same things? I mean, that's really important. So you start with that. Then you are taking everything into account of what is their, what are they bringing every day within your team, their role, their statistical profile, their analytics, all that stuff you look at. But then some of the things you can't quantify are, what are they like in their daily habits? Are they a player that you believe is going to continue to get better every day? Are they still putting the work in no matter what type of contract they had that's going to give them a position to grow? And so those are all the things that we look at. And certainly with Tage, he checked every one of those boxes. I really watch practice closely. I believe in practice is a big deal, even at the National Hockey League level. And for the last, 3 years, I've been watching him do things in practice that, I believe that this was going to be something that started to translate to games in the right situation. And he's got an incredible work ethic, and he's a really, really good teammate. So it's exciting to see him perform well, but I think it was a good deal for both sides for sure.
The rebuild stage for a lot of teams, I think one of the tough questions is when do you kind of flip the switch? And you look at the Detroit Red Wings this past season, I think they added 7 new players and said, okay, now we're going to get more aggressive with this thing. What will you be looking for with your group? It seems like you have amassed some real talent here. Good Lord, that the young defensemen that you have are unbelievable. What for you will be the signal that, okay, time to see if we can kick this thing into gear?
Well, I think, that's a really interesting question and a good question, but part of what I look at and talk about every day is, when you draft well and then you have the young players in place, you want to let them perform. And one of the things that we were really careful about this past offseason was blocking the development opportunity from some of our young players. And I'll use Dylan Cousins as an example. We could have gone probably out and signed a 28 or 30-year-old that was maybe, a centerman that may be a little bit ahead of Dylan, this last year at this time. But we were really wanting to make sure we were giving him every opportunity to take big face-offs, kill penalties, be out there on the power play, and let him start to push. So I think that's one thing that we think a lot about, so you have to be careful there. The other thing is you want to, in my opinion, you want to round out the edges, but where we believe we're going to take the most steps is by seeing our own internal group get better. Mm-hmm. Like Owen Power a year from now is going to be, 21, 22 years old. He's going to be a bigger, stronger. He's going to be better. Dylan Cousins is going to be better. Jack Quinn, JJ Peterka. I believe Rasmus Dahlin is going to continue to get better. So that's, to me, where our real growth is going to come from. But you're going to certainly look around and see, is there a way to kind of round the group out? And the core is really what we focus on.
It appears that you've got a goalie in the future in Devon Levy, if I'm not mistaken, and yet you've got a guy in Luukkonen that's in the net. Like, how do you make sure you don't have another Allmark somewhere in between these guys?
Yes, what you cut out is the very beginning of it. Sorry, can you say it again?
I'm just saying that Justin Bourne just mentioned that you've got so many great bodies at forward and defense, and yet you've got this prospect in Levi, who's considered one of the better goalies, not on an NHL team right now. And then you've got your present goaltending situation. Allmark was there, and now he's doing great things in Boston. How can you really sure where you want to focus?
Yeah. Okay. No. Good question. I think when I look at our group now, it's just kind of what I'm talking about. When you look at a player like Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, we believe in him. We believed in him last year. We just knew he needed to get reps, whether that was going to be in the National Hockey League or American League would play itself out. He's shown great steps and made some great strides, and now he looks confident and comfortable, regardless of we're playing on the road, home, the opponent. He just goes and plays, and so that's been a big step, and we'll continue to support him and let him grow. We really, I'm glad you brought up Devin. I think we're really excited about this kid. I mean, he was the player of the year in college hockey, the goaltender of the year last year. He's performing at an extremely high level again right now. We're excited about the future. But you don't want to rush that. So we want to take our time. And, I think the biggest thing goes back to when you identify players that are here and they want to be here and they want to grow with you, then you want to lock them up and you want to get that done. And maybe that wasn't the case before with particular players. And, that happens. But we want players that want to be here, and that's what we're building.
I'm interested to hear you weigh in on Rasmus Dahlin a little bit. Just, I was looking at his stats. This is his 5th NHL season. And I think sometimes when players are drafted, there's the frustration from fans like, why aren't they a star already? It takes a little time. 5th year, and all of a sudden he is this guy who's in the Norris Trophy conversation. Tell us about his development and what has led to the giant jump this season.
Yeah, Rasmus is he's wired it the right way. And if you want to be, he doesn't come to the rink just, come to the rink to show up and play. He comes to the rink to be his absolute best and be kind of what I was saying about Tage, where we want players that want to get better every day, and he has that hunger. He is ultra competitive, and he's always had that, but I think what you're starting to see is he's in his 5th year, but he's only 22, 23 years old. Like, he's just now becoming big and strong, that he might have been trying to do some of these things when he was 19, 20, 21, but his body wasn't ready for it.
Yeah.
Now he's 6'3.5", and he's a big physical man. And so that's sometimes just your body has to catch up to your talent. But that kid has been a, difference maker every single night this entire season. And just, it's really, really fun to see. And he's just one of those kids that he loves the game. He just comes to the rink. He wants to get better. He competes in a practice. It doesn't matter. He just competes, and I love that about him.
Hey, Ads, tell him that we want to see some fireworks between him and Austin Matthews tonight.
Okay, I'll let them sort that out. As long as we're on the good side of it, I'm fine with it.
Well, listen, there's something always special. You experienced as a player, as a general manager, but always something nice, the distance on the 401 between Buffalo and Toronto. So, you remember those games well, don't you?
No, they're a lot of fun. I think that Buffalo-Toronto playoff series in 99 when I was playing was just, it was special, just the buzz and the feeling. And there is something special about a Leafs-Sabres games. I know our guys are excited about it. To be honest with you, it feels like we should be playing each other more, but we will see each other here down the stretch a little bit. But I'm excited for tonight. It should be a lot of fun.
Well, I know Gary Bettman and Bill Daly listen to our show daily, so no question you sent them a good message right there.
Hey, they got a tough enough job than trying to figure out a schedule. I promise you that.
Hey, listen.
But, no, it's fun. It should be a good rivalry for sure.
We so appreciate your time, and thanks for the kind words. Remember you fondly, those training camps, and I'm real happy for your success so far, man.
No, I appreciate it. It's good chatting with you guys, and hope to be on again soon.
All right, Kevin Adams, general manager of the Buffalo Sabres.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
That was great.
Yeah.
I tell you what, like I said, a lot of things stacked against him coming in under those circumstances.
Yeah.
And he's done a hell of a job.
Yeah. Well, so much of what he said you love to hear if you're a fan of the Sabres, where no rushing the plan. We're not going to add this year to go get our asses handed to us by Boston in the first round. We're going to try to make it. And if we do, we hope Dylan Cousins can play big minutes against certain guys, the big guys. And I think that's great. By the way, his point about Dahlin. Dahlin is still 22. Fifth season, 22 years old, 6'3", 210. Yeah. He's 6'3.5", as he said. This is a force the Leafs are going to have to deal with for a decade.
I was going to say, this guy is going to be around for a very long time.
Yeah.
And he's going to be probably playing for the Sabres for a long time, and he's probably going to be pissing Leaf fans off for a long time.
Fun.
He just said that he wishes the Leafs and Sabres played more?
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I don't understand.
Is this it?
I don't think so.
Do they have one more?
I think they'd have one more, right? They usually play divisions 3 times?
Four times. 4 times in division, except for like a team or two might be 3 times.
Then we're looking. This is only their second meeting, isn't it, of the year?
Yes. The last time they played them was in November.
Yeah. So, yeah, there'll be another one.
And we're not even really mentioning the fact that Owen Power is almost playing 24 minutes a night.
Sorry, how many?
Let me just double check here. 23-33. I was way off. I was way off.
I knew he was playing a lot, but I was thinking 20 minutes plus, not 23 and a half plus.
If you were looking around the league,
Wow.
how many young core, like if you're power ranking the young quote unquote cores in the NHL, I think if you were choosing a team to coach or choosing a team to be a manager, like this is in the very short list of teams.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I don't, outside of Tage Thompson out front, like what's Dylan Cousins going to be?
Oh, I love Cousins.
50th best player or best forward in the league.
I love Cousins.
You know what I mean? Like to me, he's not, but Owen Power, Rasmus Dahlin, and Tage Thompson are absolute forces.
Here's the problem is that you're going to have to pay them real quick here.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you end
Right?
up, this is why it's a fun time to be a Sabres fan, because reality comes.
Like, they could ask for 10 a year on their next contract.
How is Dahlin worth a penny less than that?
He's worth more than that.
He's going to finish
Right?
second in Norris Trophy voting to Erik Karlsson this year. He's got 60 points, boys. It's February.
Yes.
He's
He has
22.
60 points?
Yeah, he has more
God.
points than Matthews, than Tavares.
Oh, my God.
And, a similar situation's going on in New York with the Rangers, and Kendra Miller all of a sudden has put himself in a position where the Rangers are going to have to go, God, can we get him on a short-term deal here? Or do you just give him UFA money because you want to go that path?
Sure. Give him, I don't know, 8.5
I
times
don't
8
know.
or something.
I don't know, but I don't think they can afford it.
Right.
I don't think that the Rangers can afford it. You got Trouba there, and you got Fox.
Aaron and Zibanejad.
So here's the Rangers. They rebuilt or they retooled. It took them 5 years to get to this contending spot, and all of a sudden, within a year or two, you got to make some hard decisions.
Great.
My friend Sam McKee says, sick league, Gary.
Just what the league wants. One of the premier
Build a great
franchises in the NHL that's finally rebuilt themselves to be a legit cup contender every year. Time to break it up, baby.
Bad news. You got too many good players.
Yeah.
Burn it down. It's
Yeah.
like, what are we doing here? You
Time
have
to get rid of them all.
You have to get as many good players as you get, but not too many.
But that's the
Can't
way
have
it
too
works.
many.
That's the way the system works.
It's a dumb system.
It's the stupidest thing of all time.
Mid.
I love Sabres Leafs games. Sabres Leafs games have given me a lot of nightmares over the years. A lot of guys on their team that I've really hated, like Ryan Miller, absolutely owned the Leafs for a long time. There's guys on that, think of like Patrick Coletta back in the day when
scummy.
as
a player.
Oh my God,
hate. I
didn't
Love
hate
to
anyone more than I hated Patrick Coletta when I was a certain age. Like the Sabres Leafs game, I feel like it's an underrated rivalry because they're not always good at the same time. They haven't been good at the same time for a long time, and we're heading into a spot where I think they're both going to be really good teams for a while here.
In fairness, the poor Leafs, and they've been good for, I don't know, since 2018, 5 years now.
Yeah, after the tanking year.
Yeah, 5-6 years now. And all of Ottawa, basically Montreal, they had their 1 year thing. Buffalo, like none of their direct rivals have been any good. Detroit, they haven't had a elite rival in their vicinity.
They did lose to the Montreal Canadiens in the playoffs.
Yes, I understand. There was that one weird year, but Montreal stunk that year. I said it all year, and they stunk. They stunk.
Got a text from John Shannon who says to me that the Canucks will announce no Shen tonight.
No Shen, yeah.
So,
yeah. Is he coming here? Is he going there? I think his wife is also very pregnant, but I think it is trade related. So,
the other thing that's floating around, I don't know if it was Frank Saravelli that put it out, that the St. Louis Blues could take some of their picks that they've had the last little while and go Timo Meier.
So I'm talking about Doug Armstrong being
Love
great.
that. I would love that move for the Blues.
Yeah.
Anything away from the Leafs.
Well, for sure.
That too.
Is that your only angle?
I just think, like we talked about it, they don't suck. Like they have guys on their team that are pieces. Like they have good players.
Yeah.
And I don't think Doug Armstrong wants to be a team that is kind of, I think they're a attractive destination. Guys who go there always love playing for the Blues. If they could swing that for Meier, I think that would make a ton of sense. And yeah, keep him away from Boston.
Yeah, you
Tampa,
take the assets from
the Eastern
O'Reilly and
Conference.
Tarasenko and Achari, and you turn it into Timo Meier. You extend them.
Don't need to strip completely.
Right. This is why Doug Armstrong's so good.
Yeah.
Keeps them afloat.
Yeah.
It depends what an extension would look like, but cost of living in St. Louis, awfully affordable. You know,
I think you're in the ballpark of 8.5, 9, 9.25.
I'd do it for Timo Meier, his age.
But isn't that a thing about guys loving St. Louis? Like, it feels they all, like, a lot of people live there after they play. Like, I've always heard stories about guys being really fond of playing there. So, players talk.
Yep.
Yeah.
Speaking of maybe being in a selling mode, some are suggesting Calgary be in a position to sell. That was a horrible loss.
Awful.
To the Philadelphia Flyers.
So tired of betting on that team.
And
Truly, I am.
like, I'm the first one to say I don't see that.
No.
Not a chance.
But could
That
they
they will-
change course with some turnover of players? Like, not give up, but trade guys anyway, player in, player out.
Anything that is perceived as making your team a little worse,
Mhm.
I can't see Brad Treliving
No.
doing.
No, me either.
So what does that mean? That you're going to give up a body for a pick that still has value to you?
I don't know. Like, the Flames are 2 points out of a playoff spot in the West, and there's some gettable teams ahead of you. Like, this is not the Flames are done, but God, they're frustrating.
Let's remind everybody, Brad Treliving is in no different position than Kyle Dubas.
Yeah,
He's got no contract.
doesn't eh?
Nope.
So, yeah, I wonder if he won't do the opposite of the sell thing and say, we need to get in, we need to get going. We mentioned yesterday, we called the Flames Islanders of the West because they're a team that's probably not going to be good enough to do anything when they get there, but just it's fighting to get in for some reason. Well, I shouldn't say for some reason, but
Well, I think with the Flames, do we all think that they were going to be better this year?
Yes.
Was that a conversation
Oh
we
my
had?
gosh.
I think I had them
There's
to win the
many of them
Pacific.
had.
did they finish second in the West last year? Like, they were really good
Come
last year.
on.
Yeah, but
A
they
lot of
lost
people had
two
them.
unbelievable hockey players.
But they got two unbelievable hockey players.
Matthew Tkachuk's one of the best players in the league.
No, I think at the times, Sam, it was perceived that it was a pretty good wash.
Like, Huberdeau was third in Hart Trophy
Yeah, but
voting, not Tkachuk.
But what general manager in the league, if you offered them Matt Tkachuk
Of
or
course.
Huberdeau, which guy are
Yes.
they taking?
Right.
We
But they also
agree.
got Kadri and Uyghur.
But if,
You know,
Yeah,
if there was a party of you that thought Huberdeau would never match the 115,
You thought he'd be like
Make it
career
85.
Yeah,
90,
95, yeah.
he could drop 25 points and still have a
Elite year.
really elite year.
Yeah.
But we know that's not the case.
Happening? No.
Not happening.
Not happening.
And then there was Kadri signing, which
Gaudreau, obviously.
you thought, okay, if he's not going to match his 90-plus points, he can come in at a point a
70?
game.
Yeah.
A point a
okay.
game.
Yeah. And agitate, do the Tkachuk things. You know, Gaudreau's out. You can get that from Huberdeau. You add Uyghur. He scores in the back end. Fights a little bit.
I like Uyghur a lot.
Yeah.
Whenever I see that guy play, he's doing something greasy, he's scoring, he's
Yeah.
hitting.
He's a hockey player.
He's a good player.
Yeah.
The Leafs wanted him at one point.
Yeah.
They were trying to get him. I remember that.
If you're Kyle, would you just knock on Brad Treliving's door and say, Chris Tanev?
Hey, you got that guy who gets hurt a lot but plays D really well? I'll take him.
Isn't he pretty elite defensively?
He has been
Oh, he's a
through his
top
career like
shutdown
a
guy.
best.
Yeah.
Yeah, among the league's best.
When he's healthy.
Right.
which is not that often.
Not anymore because he does block everything shot his way and engage in every battle possible.
And fought Jacob Trouba when he was already hurt.
yeah, like
Yeah.
he's that guy.
Yeah.
He's talk about hockey players. Jeez.
A lot of people thinking it's a foregone conclusion. I know I mentioned this the other day. I didn't mention Timo in St. Louis, which
You
I
fool.
should have. I sat on.
Yeah.
But that's fine. But Gavrikov to Boston seems to have many people believing. I was told as of this morning that he's still out there.
For anyone to have.
Yes.
Yeah.
And think about this for a second. If you're Columbus and you think maybe you might be leaning towards Boston,
Mm-hmm.
it's a first rounder, right? We know that. So why
You don't
would,
want a 32nd overall.
why would you lock in 28 to 32 when you could still see if maybe there's a 20th pick
Yeah.
out there, an
Yeah,
18th pick,
If we're doing a first,
22
let's talk
pick.
to someone who's a Calgary. Let's see what you guys got. Islanders, what do you guys got?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that may be the case.
Mhm.
If they're smart, they won't give it away now.
Yeah, you're in the position to trade for Gavrikov in a draft where if you pick 15th to 20th, it sounds like that's a 5 to 10 most years, or at least a 10 to 15. So,
Yeah. So I think it's shaping up. We all believe the rumblings are true that Boston has their eye on him, but I'm not sure how close it is just yet.
Why do they need him?
well, you know what? I saw some Leafs
Are they
there.
not stacked enough?
No,
Like,
but I
come
saw
on.
some Bruins
Sammy-
fans complaining about their lefty.
Sammy wants a fair fight in the
Come
playoffs.
on.
Their lefty is Lindholm, and then it's like Forbort,
Okay.
Grzelcyk.
Okay.
You know, Grzelcyk's hurt a lot, and then Mike Riley. Like they're not perfect.
Yeah, I guess there's a difference between plus 92 goal differential, plus 80 goal differential.
They're good. They're very, very good. But I mean, all these teams have spots they'd like
What-
to get better.
They're plus 92 goal
I
differential.
think that's the best in the last like 10 years, and the year's not over.
91 points in 56 games played.
Not fair.
President's Trophy curse, baby. That's all we got.
Yeah,
That's all we got.
Come on, witchcraft.
Let's go. Yeah. Voodoo, baby. Let's go.
That's all we got.
Like, it's scary that, like, when you look at, like, they've got 41 more points than, like, Montreal.
Oh, yeah. No.
Like, it's like
If
it's
they-
a season in itself.
Yeah. If you eliminated Montreal's points from Boston's currently, they still probably make the playoffs by the end of the year.
Oh, my God.
You know, like they're just on a tear. So
Yeah.
Is there
Gavrikov, I mean, like, that just sucks if they get him.
it does. By the way, this is the like hidden, to me, the under discussed story about this Eastern Conference battle to like for the wild card spots. It's the Islanders, Florida, Pittsburgh, Washington, Buffalo, Detroit. Remember last year, Daryl Sutter talked about Colorado. Whoever get
8 days?
Yeah, it's
be-
going to be what do you say, unfun 8 days
Yeah.
or be a short 8 days.
waste of 8 days?
It's a waste of 8 days.
Waste.
So that's what teams are doing now. You're going to go trade picks, whatever, to get into the playoffs to waste 8 days against the Bruins. Go for it, you know?
Is there another name out there? Where would we have it? Would it be Chikrin and Gavrikov out of Columbus? Is that it?
Orlov, Tanev, these are the teams that are in playoffs that you're fantasizing about giving up guys.
Orlov, I love.
Luke Shen.
We
Yeah.
mentioned him.
Yeah, that's a guy I'd love. And somehow trade your 2025 or 2028 or 2040 first round pick to get Orlov and Garnet Hathaway on your team. And get other teams to double retain. So send
Again,
another fourth round pick and another
but-
pick. Just give up the draft
we're
for 4
talking
years.
about 31 and 32-year-olds, guys,
Mm-hmm.
for 30 games.
Mm-hmm.
Like Ekholm. I know you love Ekholm.
I am a fan of his game, but
But-
he's played a lot of big, long games over his career.
And he's at 6.25. And I think he's going to earn that when he's 33, 34, 35.
Yeah.
Do you want that?
This year, can I trade it in the summer?
Can I have it for 30 days and then,
Yeah.
and then throw it back in the lake?
That's right.
Double flip.
Get it double retained, then trade it. All right, maybe I'm pushing it now.
What did you make out of your Islanders in Pittsburgh?
I think the Penguins goaltending stinks. Holy
Wow.
smokes.
Jari with a horrible giveaway. I think he was watching Mrazek in Toronto.
No, Bo Horvat is like everything the Islanders wanted. But yeah, I mean, Barzal's hurt. That hurts them. But
Wasn't that Jari's first game back?
I don't know, is it?
He'd been hurt for a long time, so yeah, he was looking rusty.
It was super rusty. So,
Sucks
I mean,
that the Penguins are in trouble here.
huge swing for the Islanders. They beat the Penguins twice in the last week. You know, that's who they're battling with. Those are massive outcomes for them.
Is there
Massive
a
results. as they'd
playoff
say
we
in
envision
kickball.
where there's no Ovechkin or no Crosby?
Oh, yes. We are getting there. And watch it be like Detroit Buffalo or something.
I can't imagine
It ain't going to be Detroit, by the way.
the panic that's going on in Pittsburgh right now.
Well,
After the summer they had,
the commitment to
Gino,
old money,
Letang,
Letang.
But
Jeff
what do you
Carter.
do? Let those
Jeff
guys
Carter
go?
even. Well, that's the thing. What would Bill Belichick do? Probably would have let him go.
Yeah.
You want to talk about pressure on maybe Tree Living or Dubas
Mhm.
in Toronto? What about Hextall?
Yeah. I have seen his name come up on my Twitter feed a lot lately, and particularly last night after that loss, about just not getting the goaltending short up. And I think when he was in Philly before, the goaltending never got figured out there. This has become like a bugaboo.
But he
of his.
had Carter Hart in the wings. He wanted to overcook him in the minors. There was really no pressure on him to go elsewhere. It was just a matter of, come on, bring the guy up. He's the next Carey Price.
Right. And they don't have that in Pittsburgh.
No.
Yeah.
They have all their picks for the next 3 years. The Penguins.
There's no way Sid's going to make stand still here in the next 10 days. He's gonna force them to go out there and do something.
You have to.
For the team, you think?
Yes.
Oh my God! Like the way you treated the summer and the way you re-signed all these guys, you have to double down on that and trade for something if you're looking to get into the playoffs. Like if they miss the playoffs, it is a disaster.
Yeah.
Disaster.
Yeah. Certainly could be. It's always fun, right? Other organizations have panic too.
Yeah.
Not just Leafs every day.
Earlier in the show, Gary Galley mentioned Hellebuck and his 50 shots in Madison Square Garden. Like that was a clinic last night. Like he looked every bit the part of a Vasilevsky last night.
Yeah. Oh, he's elite now. He's having a run of years where I don't know how much longer he'd have to do it, but would you ever look back and say this guy ends up being like a Hall of Fame goalie? Like what's he won? At least one Vezina. 5 years as a guy who's in the mix.
Needs
to win.
Playoff success.
Yeah.
To really kind of solidify.
Yeah.
He can do it without going to a Stanley Cup final or winning the cup, but you got to go on.
Yeah.
You got to go on some nice runs.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It seems early, but he's just been so good for so long for them. It's been wild.
Would you care to apologize to the Winnipeg Jets, Barney?
I have been asked about that. No.
Kipper,
I would
Kipper
like to
has
apologize.
I apologize
to
already.
absolutely nobody.
I did.
I apologize as well. Barney stands strong. Yeah, they might have a great season. Their first round matchup beat Colorado.
I do stand by that this team will look much different in 18 months.
Yeah.
That's what I've said all along. I just thought it would I thought that energy of knowing that this major change is coming with all these contracts coming up and guys wanting out, I thought it would have a really negative effect.
Yeah, Rick Bowness has done great by them. They have got unbelievable goaltending. They have some elite players. And I don't know what else to say.
Scheifele came up huge last night, and Pierre-Luc Dubois is having a career year when he all but told everybody, hey, nice place, but I don't want to stay here.
Yeah, I just want to go to Montreal, please.
Long term. So they're still finding ways.
And there aren't many dudes in the league when the puck is on their stick in a good spot that I think it's going in more than Kyle Connor.
Yeah.
See the goal he scored last night?
Love Ehlers. Ehlers bombs around. Connor shoots everything in the net.
He just catches it at the top of the circle, and it's in the back of the net
Funny, too, because
before.
he's skinny, and he's got that stick, and you just still have such confidence
Looks like he
in
loves
the heat.
Monster Energy drinks.
It looks like he loves monster trucks and country music.
And I did mention Timo Meier, a possibility there. That's an
That would change things for me. If they got another significant body like that, that would change things.
I'd like them to get a little bigger on the back end.
But you know what? So they have a better chance to advance than a lot of these other teams I've praised because their division is Dallas, a constantly injured Colorado, Minnesota. Like, it's a flawed division. They can win a playoff round. I'll say this. I can see them making a conference final. I don't think they're a cup contender. I don't think they're one of the 5 best teams in the league, but I can see them having some success.
And with that goaltending, you never know.
But probably not, is my opinion.
I could see it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't pick it, but I could see them going to a final. Leafs-Jets final.
Ooh, could you imagine? That'd be great.
That'd be rather horny.
That would work very well. We have 2 clips from Ryan O'Reilly, one on wearing the Leaf and one on the pressure of being a Leaf. Would you like to hear from the former Blues captain on some of these things? I wanted to get this in for the end of the show.
Yeah, I still at times kind of catch myself. I still can't believe it. Obviously, growing up and family growing up in Toronto and such, and actually wearing it now, it's it's a little surreal. But I'm excited though. It's awesome. It's something that I never really think that would happen, and to be a part of it, be a part of this group too, and such a good team that yeah, like I said, just there's a lot of excitement I have right now.
As someone that's lived through it, I will tell Ryan O'Reilly this. It wears off.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God.
No.
Really?
I'm dead serious.
Yeah.
It's great. But then reality will set in that it's
Extra work and pressure.
It's a beast in itself. And it can be at times for certain guys a double-edged sword, the extra scrutiny, the eyeballs, the amount of demand on you, media, your family, whether he brings them here for the remainder of the season or not, they're affected.
Yeah.
It becomes work in many different ways. And I'm saying that tongue in cheek.
I know what you mean.
You know, but it's one of those things where it can be great. And then other times you can sit there and go, this town's nuts.
Yeah, but I don't understand how people aren't prepared for that. Like maybe until you've lived it, you can't anticipate it.
You can't.
Yeah.
And you can talk to guys and they can describe
But like,
it.
just know that part of your day every day is going to be answering questions about minute things that they didn't notice in St. Louis.
It's just not the questions.
I noticed you tied your skates up in the corner in practice.
It's the noise that comes around it.
Yeah.
Right? That somehow, some way, even if you think that you're not going to pick up a newspaper or you're not going to listen to our show or listen to
you might see the billboard someone
Sportsnet or
took out that says
TSN.
O'Reilly sucks, and you're like, what?
The
Remember
noise,
that was Stamkos?
the noise can find you.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's great. And we all envisioned or fantasized about winning here and being the one that can be part of something that hasn't been done since 1967.
Has it been 67, eh?
You're young. But
comes up once
my
in a while.
point is that it once you get into it and you find out you know, the daily stress, it kind of wears on you sometimes.
We have a quote on him talking about the pressure of being a Leaf.
Yeah, I think, you know, we have a ton of good pieces here, and it's a great team. The coaching's outstanding. It's, you know, I think it's not getting, you know, ahead of myself, you know. I think, you know, I got to take it day by day and work and push myself to be better and try to help elevate this team to take another step. But, you know, that's not done just by, you know, wanting to have success. It's, you know, putting the details in every day and competing and doing things the right way, and then, you know, hopefully good things unfold from there. But, yeah, I'm just, you know, right now, obviously, it's got so much excitement being here and being a new player here and a part of this team, and I'm just going to feed off that and, you know, try to make an impact any way I can.
Listen, he's a smart guy.
Isn't he?
High IQ, been there, done that, knows grew up in this area. So all of it is really lending towards a guy that can certainly draw the line between enough on my shoulders and when it's needs to be shared.
Yep. To quote Bruce Boudreau, you can't just want it. You have to go out and effing want it. Sorry.
Love that. You mentioned listening to and reading, and do you think any of the players listen to our show ever?
No. I think they...
coaches?
They probably watch the clips that come up on Twitter.
I would highly advise not to.
Well, none of them had anything to say to us at the Blue and White Gala, Kyper, so we're
I think
safe.
they read stuff. Read stuff and see it on social.
For the record, you hid behind me for most of the night.
No, I was hiding behind Wendell.
All right, another fast 2 hours on the Real Kyper and Bourne show. Our thanks to Derek Brandale, Sammy, Justin, and David. Sis.
Yes.
Boom. Bah. Kevin Adams. Great having him on.
He was very good.
Gary Galley. Always fun with you guys. Give us a rating and review if you get a chance. We'd love to hear from you. Maybe a thumbs up before we go off on YouTube would be nice as well.
Oh, I'll do that.
All good. Enjoy the game tonight. We're back tomorrow. Real Kyper and Bourne.